good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are watching from. Welcome back to Favorite News. If this is your first time here, didn't forget to subscribe. Today we begin tonight in West Africa, where a diplomatic standoff is intensifying between the country of Niger and the European Union. At the center of this dispute is the continued detention of Niger's former president, Mohamed Bazoum, and a growing international demand for his release. In the past 24 hours, reactions inside Niger have escalated, with officials and civil society voices rejecting what they describe as foreign interference. Tonight, we take a closer look at what's behind this confrontation, what both sides are saying, and what it could mean for the region. To understand the current tensions, we need to go back to July 2023. That's when Niger's democratically elected president, Mohamed Bazoum, was overthrown in a military coup led by members of the Presidential Guard. Since then, Bazoum has remained in detention. The coup marked a turning point, not just for Niger, but for the wider Sahel region, where military takeovers have reshaped governments in neighboring countries. International reaction at the time was swift. The European Union, along with other global powers, condemned the coup and called for Bazoum's immediate reinstatement. But nearly 3 years later, the situation remains unresolved. Now, to the latest developments. The European Union has renewed its call, demanding the immediate release of Mohamed Bazoum. EU officials argue that his detention violates democratic principles, it raises serious human rights concerns, and it undermines efforts to restore constitutional rule in Niger. The EU has framed its position as part of a broader commitment to democracy and stability, not only in Niger but across Africa. However, that message is being received very differently inside the country. Reaction from Niger has been swift and firm. Government-aligned voices and civil society groups have rejected the EU's demand outright. Their message is clear. Niger's internal affairs are not for external powers to decide. Some critics have gone further, accusing European nations, particularly France, of attempting to reassert influence in the region through political pressure. There is a growing sentiment within Niger that Western involvement over the years has failed to deliver security or stability, especially in the face of ongoing militant violence. Instead, many now argue for a new direction, one that prioritizes national sovereignty and independence from foreign influence. This dispute is not happening in isolation. Niger is part of a broader regional shift. Alongside Mali and Burkina Faso, it forms the alliance of Sahel states, a bloc of military-led governments seeking to redefine their international partnerships. Together, these countries have distanced themselves from Western allies, reduced or ended military cooperation with European nations, and strengthened ties within the region. In response to the EU's latest demand, the alliance has shown a united front, rejecting what it calls external interference. This signals a deeper geopolitical realignment across the Sahel. So, what does all of this mean? At its core, this is a clash between two competing ideas. On one side, the European Union, emphasizing democracy, human rights, and constitutional order. On the other, Niger's current leadership and its allies, emphasizing sovereignty, independence, and resistance to foreign influence. The outcome of this dispute could shape how similar situations are handled in the future, both in Africa and beyond. Here's a clip of Niger civil groups condemning the EU demand to free Bazoum. We'll be back after you've watched the clip.
Society organizations in Niger have condemned a European Union resolution demanding the release of the country's former president. Mohamed Bazoum has been detained since the 2023 coup that removed him from power. At a meeting in Niamey on Saturday, NGOs issued a joint statement accusing France of putting pressure on Brussels. Let's say it clearly, behind this resolution is the hand of France, refusing to accept its historic defeat in the Sahel. Through its influence networks and contacts within European institutions, France is using the European Parliament to try to reclaim politically what it's lost on the ground. Militarily expelled, politically rejected, discredited among our peoples, it now seeks to return through diplomatic pressure and institutional manipulation. But the peoples of the Sahel are no longer fooled. The meeting also denounced international actors in the region, saying they've done nothing to stabilize the situation. Now, they said, the Sahel states are embarking on a new path. Today, as our states engage in a rapid process of reconciliation and reclaiming their sovereignty, it's unacceptable for external institutions to pretend to dictate our choices. The sovereignty of the countries of the Sahel States Confederation cannot be called into question. Simultaneous appeals were launched in Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali, calling for demonstrations on Tuesday to say no to the European Union.
After seeing the clip, one thing stands out: the depth of feeling within Niger on this issue. This is not simply about one man or even one political event. It reflects a broader shift in how many in the region view their relationship with Western powers. For years, countries like Niger have worked closely with European nations on security and development. But now, that relationship is being reassessed. The reaction we're seeing suggests a growing desire to move away from external influence and to assert greater control over internal affairs. So, as this continues to develop, key questions remain. Will international pressure lead to any change in Niger's position? Or will the country and its regional allies continue to resist outside demands? For now, the standoff continues. The European Union is standing by its call. Niger is standing firm in its response, and the fate of former President Mohamed Bazoum remains uncertain. That's all for this report. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more coming updates. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.